Hello, I'm Daniel Goddard. I am a geology major at CPP, and this is my research presentation on the medieval warm period. So, I think the medieval warm period is a important thing to talk about from a from a modern perspective because a lot of people today will really look for any reason to try to ignore or deny climate change because they don't want to admit that it's happening, or they don't want to change their ways because of the way the earth is changing. And a lot of times people will look at data and they'll look for irregularities like the medieval warm period where, earth got a little bit warmer for a while, and then how it led to the little ice age. And I like to point to that to say, well, I don't think, I don't, it does look based on the data, because they like to have the data on their side, saying, well, I don't think it's going to happen because of this irregularity, you know. And they'll look for any of these reasons, and it's important to look at these irregularities and just really understand why that's not the case. Why, why it really is our why humans, how much of an impact humans have on the environment, and how these circumstances of the medieval warm period are not occurring today, or are different from today, and why it's, humans' effect on the environment is what's causing today's global warming. So it's also an important, another reason with this medieval warm period is important. It's important reference to show how much of an impact climate can have on humans. Even if they had they weren't as technologically advanced in the medieval period, it's still, the effect is still big regardless, which would affect us today greatly. It has affected us today greatly. One of the big things that happened was a great change in landscape due to this warm period of the medieval era, which occurred around 950 to 1250 CE. So pretty recent geologically speaking. That's that's really short too, but also really recently. Like, not a lot has changed geologically since then, and it's important to understand the change in the landscape because the ice around Greenland melted, and Iceland, a lot of ice around Iceland and Greenland melted, which would allow people like the Vikings to go and colonize those places, which is very, that's huge. That's a whole new land that people started living on. That's just one of the effects it had. The volcanic activity at the time period was kind of reduced. That's less ash and stuff in the atmosphere, which would increase the sun's radiation on the Atlantic, or on the Earth, which caused the Atlantic specifically to grow a lot warmer because that was the most affected area from this medieval warm period, and raised up to as much as 1 degree Celsius, which is a lot. That's almost as much as what's happened today in recent years of how much it's warmed. And this warmer North Atlantic around the Sargasso Sea, or a little bit north of it, is where its main effect was found in Greenland. That would make it habitable for people like the Vikings to live on. And also, there's an ice sheet there, and that ice sheet, as we learned about, would cause the Little Ice Age, which would be a cooling period in Earth's history, which greatly affected the time period of art and the way people lived, because then people obviously left Greenland, and the Vikings left Greenland after a while. So, and like one of the reasons being due to a decrease in temperature from this little ice age that would occur due to after the medieval warm period. And I find this very interesting because it shows just how much of an impact just climate change. So even like a 1 degree difference can cause a massive shift for a cultural group like the Vikings to move across Greenland and settle all this land. And that just shows how much of an effect climate has on humans, which is really important today as the Earth's temperature is, raising and temperature changing. So it really just shows how much of an impact this global warming will have on today, even if it hasn't had as much effect. And this data is known based on information in the Sargasso Sea, where they took sediments from the bottom of the ocean, and that's where they found out that the temperature at the surface of the ocean was around 1 degree Celsius higher. And that's it for the presentation.